Okay, so KSI has just released his first solo album, Dissimulation, and it went instantly #1 in the UK and is doing incredibly all over the world. But is it any good?
Yeah. Hundreds on me stuff, I'ma run it up. She gon' give it up. I'm like, what is love? Remember I was broke, ain't nobody give a fuck. Hate it on a stand, now they love us cause we up. Hundreds on me stuff.
So today I'm just going to be doing a general album review of this whole album. I've listened to it a few times through now, and I did do a reaction to every single track on the album on my channel, so you can go and check those out. They're just my last recent videos. And yeah, basically I just wanted to do a whole video reviewing the whole album as a whole project instead of song by song, because I think you get a better sense of the music if you look at it as a whole thing and as a collective piece of art instead of just each individual song. And basically what I'm going to do is talk about what I liked and what I didn't like about the album, and at the end I'm going to give it a score out of 10 and I'm going to say my favourite song. So before I get started, go down to the comments right now and tell me what you think of the album. Give it a score out of 10 and also tell me your favourite song. Now the first thing I want to talk about the album is the Autotune. This is the biggest thing that shocked me personally, because we hadn't really heard any songs like this from KSI. He's got heavy Autotune on his voice on pretty much, I think he has on all of the singles that he's done, and I'm still kind of undecided on the Autotune. On some songs I think it sounds amazing, so What You Been On and How It Feel, I think they sound very good. They're, I think, some of my favourite singles that he did, and I think the Autotune sounds very good on those songs. So it does sound good and it can work on some beats and the right songs, but then I listened to Bad Little Vibe and I said in my reaction, I think, that when he went high and he had a higher tone to his voice, it sounded very strange, and I didn't like the Autotune at all then. It sounded like he was straining, and yeah, I don't think the Autotune worked on that, and I remember saying in the reaction, I think that song would have been 10 times better if it had the hook, which was so good, from Jeremy or Jeremiah, I'm not sure how to pronounce that, and then he didn't have the Autotune in his voice, if he just did rapping normally, because he's already got such a good rapping voice, KSI. Like, he has such a natural, good voice for rap that I think it's a shame to put Autotune on it and lose that. And it works for some songs, but I would have liked some songs without the Autotune, and I think the only one I can think of in terms of the ones that weren't already released before the album came out that didn't have Autotune on pretty much everything was Millions right at the end, where he didn't Autotune the verses, and that would have sounded terrible if he'd Autotune the verses because it doesn't fit with the song at all. But yeah, I would have preferred some songs without the Autotune, because first of all to switch it up, because I think having Autotune throughout the whole album would kind of like gets a bit boring. A lot of the songs, I guess they kind of sound similar, to be honest, because they are the same sort of beat, same sort of style, and if he switched it up from having Autotune on some and normal voice on some, I think it would have made it even more interesting and an even more interesting project as a whole, but also just because I don't think the Autotune works on specific songs. But saying that, it worked fantastically on What You Been On and How It Feel, which are two of my favourite songs on the album. So the Autotune works, and it's a really interesting new style to hear from JJ, because we never heard anything like that. It's completely different to any of his previous music, but it's something so new, but it's also really good on some songs. So yeah, Autotune, undecided about it, works on some songs, doesn't work on some songs. Now this album really shocked me, to be honest. I was expecting, completely be honest, I was expecting the singles to be album filler, and the singles that, without any features, for him to just be, you know, they're just average, they're nothing special, but I think some of the singles were very good music. I think he actually put together some very good music on his own, and I wasn't expecting that, to be honest, because we know KSI can do well on features, because he can get really big features, and he has obviously got a good producer, or himself, or whoever's behind putting songs together for him does very well, because all the songs are so well put together, they're so professional, they're so high quality. But I was wondering whether him on his own can hold a song up to that standard, and I wasn't expecting that. I wasn't expecting that, really. I was expecting the singles to be album filler. It's like the features and the tracks he released before, they were going to be the really good songs of the album that everyone was hyped about. Then the album come out and they listen to the singles and go, oh, it's nowhere near the standard. But I think some of the singles were very good. One of my favourite songs was How It Feel, and that was just him. And Millions as well, very good song, just him. The first track on the album, I think it's called What You Been On, very good track, and they were just him, and I wasn't expecting that. I wasn't expecting him to have such a high standard of music without any features, but he managed to hold his own on that album, and he just did it all by himself, and it shows how much he's come as an individual artist. It's not just him being successful because he's got big features. It's him being successful because he's actually improved as an artist, and you've got to rate that. He's genuinely improved as an artist over so many years of doing music, and he's got to a point where this album is a very good piece of music as a whole and a very good project. Now I want to go and pick out a few songs here and there that I think stand out. Now the first one I think stands out because it's such a different kind of style. It is Killer Killer, and I really liked this song. It's one of my favourite because it's so different to everything else on the album. It's Ayana Lee, I think, who's singing on it, and she's amazing. That hook was fantastic. But again, I think that, as I said, I think that track would have been even better if he just rapped normally without the autotune. But yeah, despite all of that, I think that was a very good track, and I really liked that. And I think the features, those two features that hadn't been released yet, the one with Jeremy, I don't know how to say that, someone please let me know in the comments, Jeremy and Ayana Lee, they were very, very good. I really liked those hooks, but they were something different to what he usually does. They weren't so American, they weren't so commercial, if you know what I mean. They were more... I'm not great with music topics, I wouldn't know what kind of genre that comes underneath, but it's not his usual style, and I really liked those tracks. To be honest, I think this album was very American. That could be just because he's got so many American features on there. Actually no, because his singles were very American as well. There wasn't much. The only song I could say that was I would recognise as a UK song was Houdini. Apart from that, if you showed me that album without any context behind it, I probably would have assumed that this guy was American. And I would have liked more UK songs. I think KSI's best music is on UK beats with UK artists and a UK whole sonic. I think the best song he's ever released is Pull Up, and I think the second best song he's ever released is Houdini, the two UK songs, and I wish he would do more UK tracks, because for me that's the best KSI, and I think he does so well on those beats. Like, also Naruto Drillings, that his feature on Naruto Drillings was amazing as well. I think he can hold his own on drill. I wish he'd do more drill as well, because that was very good. So yeah, drill and grime I would like to see more of, and I wish he put a bit of UK in this album, maybe a single here. Like, if he'd done like, imagine if he'd just done like a 96 bar grime just spitting. I would have loved that. I would have really loved that, but I feel like he's going down a different route. He wants to be more he wants to conquer America, basically, and that's understandable because he wants to make money. But I would like some grime or some drill here and there. Okay, so I hope you've already commented what your favourite song is, but now I'm going to decide my favourite song, and I'm not going to lie, I haven't decided yet. I'm still thinking about it as I'm speaking right now, because I'm really not sure. I kind of want to pick one that's not already been released, because they don't feel like album songs, they feel like singles or tracks that have already been released, and then the ones that were unreleased feel like the actual album, because they're the one that's kind of got the style through the album. So I'm not going to pick any of the tracks, because by far it would be Houdini if I picked any tracks that had already been released and with features on. So yeah, excluding Houdini, I think it would come down to Killer Killer and How It Feel. Those two were fantastic for me. I'm not sure, you know, because first of all, I'm going to say How It Feel. I'm going to say How It Feel because for me, Killer Killer was lacking something, and that was no autotune. I think Killer Killer would have been a lot better if there was no autotune on KSI's verse, and that's the only thing I think it was missing, whereas I don't think How It Feel was missing something, if you know what I mean. That's my logic behind this. I'm going to say How It Feel is my favourite song on the album, and yeah, that is credit to KSI, that my favourite song is one where he didn't have a feature. He managed to produce my favourite song on the album completely solo, which is amazing. Look how, like, that's how far he's come from... I always say this every time I listen to KSI. I remember listening to like Lamborghini and I'm on a Horse and, you know, all those songs back then, Kilimanjaro, those terrible shouty screamy rap songs, and now he's turned into a very respectable artist, and that's quite a journey he's been on, and you've got to rate it. And he seems to have managed to conquer anything he's tried out, and music is definitely one of them. But yeah, he's managed to produce my favourite song on his own, and yeah, How It Feel. Yeah, I'm going to say that one's my favourite song. So How It Feel is officially my favourite song on Dissimulation. Now, I've got to give it a rating out of 10. Now, I never know, because for me this is not of the standard of a mainstream artist, if you know what I mean. It's not of the standard of someone like a Dave or a J Hus or a Bugzy Malone. And that could just be my personal preference because I prefer UK music, but actually no, because for example, MGK's album, Hotel Diablo, or Post Malone's album, Hollywood's Bleeding, they're proper mainstream artists who have really conquered the whole music stuff. And I wouldn't say this album's on the standard of those. So I don't know whether to take into account that he is a YouTube rapper, if you know what I mean. He's not like a mainstream massive celebrity star. So I'm going to look at it as a KSI album instead of just an album. And for a KSI album, actually no, cause the thing is, for a KSI album this is like a 9 or a 10, but I want to rate this in comparison to all music. So I'm going to give this a rating in comparison to every album. And if I'm saying like Psychodrama by Dave is a 10, I would have to say this is a 7 or an 8. So I'm going to give this a 7.5 out of 10, I think. Actually no, I'm going to give it a 7. I'm going to give it a 7 just because there was stuff missing on there. I think I would have preferred some more UK music. I would have preferred some more deeper songs. I would have preferred some songs without Autotune. Yeah, there is stuff missing on that album, and that for me is what brings it down to a 7. But there's still songs that I really like on there. No, I'm gonna give it a 7.5. Taking into account all the tracks that were released before, they're still on the album. Down Like That, Houdini, Poppin', they're still all on the album. So I'm gonna give it a 7.5 because they're still very good quality music, and some of the singles are very good quality music. 7.5 out of 10 is my official rating for Dissimulation. And yeah, although it's not as up to the standard of someone like Dave or J Hus or someone like that, for KSI, this is an incredible piece of work. The fact that he's managed to do this as a YouTuber is crazy, and the fact that he's got a #1 album as a YouTuber is crazy. So yeah, let me know if you agree with me on my rating and my favourite song down in the comments. I know lots of people aren't really talking about how I feel. It's like, the songs that have been hyped are Bad Little Vibe, Domain, and Cap. But it's like, I feel like everything else is going under the radar, and it's kind of annoying, because I think the ones that have been hyped aren't actually the best songs on the album, which is a shame. But yeah, I went off on a tangent. I'm trying to end the video now. Yeah, let me know if you agreed with me on my favourite song and my rating out of 10 in the comments. Like the video if you did enjoy, and I will be doing UK and US based music reactions and just general music based content. So subscribe and turn notifications on if you don't want to miss an upload. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. I will see you guys in the next one.